gold ingot, about the size of an older generation smartphone, weighs about a kilogram, 2.2 pounds. To make it requires at least 1,000 times that weight in ore, often a great deal more. And that raw material doesn't look particularly promising. It's plain old boring rock, grey or brown, with, if you're lucky, some tiny telltale flecks of glistening yellow. But there's a lot of it about. Gold is found in all kinds of rocks, often embedded in things like quartz, which can be found anywhere on Earth. And most of that is discarded in the extensive process of refining the metal, getting the gold out and leaving behind mountains of yellowing rock. There might be great value in what finally comes out of all of this, but getting to that shiny, soft and heavy metal requires a lot of effort. The idea of lucky prospectors panning for gold and finding a pure, clean nugget glinting away below the surface of the water is as far from reality as the presence of unicorns dipping their mythical heads to drink from the stream. That doesn't mean gold mining isn't worth doing. That ingot is worth about $100,000 at today's prices. But it does focus our attention on the importance of finding ways to mine and process the precious metal as effectively as possible. It's a kind of alchemy, transmuting base material into something of great value. Which is what a couple of entrepreneurs started doing 30 years ago, developing tools and techniques for refining something similarly unprepossessing into a resource increasingly prized around the world: knowledge. Much like the raw ore which carries the high value of gold, we've got mountains of data available in various forms. The trick is to turn that unpromising source into high-value knowledge of the kind which increasingly fuels economic growth and underpins effective decision-making in all of our organizations. Edwina Dunn and Clive Humby were early prospectors. The couple met in 1980, working at the London office of CACI, a company originally founded as the California Analysis Center Incorporated, by a couple of Rand Corporation scientists who thought that using simulation and analytical techniques could prove commercially useful. Their instincts were good. From its origins in the 1960s, the company had grown successfully and spread its work internationally. Dunn and Humby were a good fit for such a knowledge-based organization. They worked on a variety of projects, drawing on his skills as a mathematician and her abilities in marketing. In particular, she found herself working on the retail sector, trying to use data to help retail stores with location plans by developing an improved understanding of their local customer bases. The couple were both successful, and she rose from being a marketing assistant to become the youngest vice president at the age of 26 in the company, with a team of 40 people working for her. But growing frustration led the couple to develop a plan to set up on their own. They were going to form a business made up nicely from their two names, dunnhumby. The idea was that Clive would leave and Edwina would continue to support him from her senior position in CACI. A great plan in theory, but one which soon crashed when unfortunate realities intervened. Within 10 minutes of his submitting his resignation, she was sacked by the company, leaving the couple sitting round a kitchen table in their home in Chiswick, West London, with some great ideas and a vision for how data science might change the world, but not a lot actually coming in to help them make ends meet. Using her marketing skills and his knowledge of the key mathematical tools and how to use them, they set about trying to promote their big idea. Their value proposition was around helping businesses unlock the hidden value in the data which they'd already collected and which could offer deep insights into their customer base. An early success came with signing the Booker Cash and Carry Group as their first client, which gave them a foothold in the retail world. But it also brought a major problem, because their former employer began a lawsuit claiming that they were using confidential knowledge, which the couple had been party to when working for them. In an interview, Edwina Dunn explained that this was rubbish because we'd invented the knowledge, or at least Clive had. But it put them under severe pressure. If they fought, they risked losing their home and everything that they'd built up. As she said, it was incredibly stressful. There was a big moment where we looked at each other and knew we could lose everything. They could break us. But we came to terms with the fact that if we lost everything, including the house and what we'd saved so far, we'd start again. That was a moment where you realize you're quite strong, and you have to be in order to survive. Fortunately, they eventually won their battle in the High Court and were able to concentrate on developing the business, bringing their vision of helping firms use data effectively to life. Now, one of the key advantages which they had was an understanding of just how valuable data could be at a time when organizations didn't. Indeed, for many organizations, data was seen as a cost rather than an asset. Once collected for whatever purpose, it was too expensive to store, still less analyze, because computer power was still expensive. dunnhumby's alternative strategy was based on using data analytics to create a deep understanding of customers at a differentiated level so that clients could target sales promotions and engineer deals much more accurately. And over their first couple of years, they worked from home, keeping the costs as low as possible, paying themselves very little as they refined the plan and gradually grew the business. Of course, a key challenge for them, analogous to gold mining, was getting access to suitable raw material. They needed data sets just as gold miners needed deposits of ore. Their big breakthrough came when they were invited to a meeting with the Tesco supermarket chain to talk about their ideas. Grant Harrison, a Tesco manager responsible for the rollout of a new loyalty card for the chain, had seen Clive Humby at a conference and was interested in the ideas he was putting forward. Time for a quick detour trip into the wonderful world of customer loyalty programs. Rewarding customers for their loyalty to a shop or a brand isn't a new idea. Indeed, it's been around since the middle of the 18th century, when a United States merchant began giving small copper tokens which could be redeemed for purchases in his store. In the mid-19th century, the UK's Cooperative Wholesale Society, the Co-op, began rewarding its customers with tokens which could be saved up and redeemed for cash or goods. Across the pond, the Great Atlantic and Pacific Tea Company began putting coupons in its packets of tea, again, which could be redeemed for gifts in a catalogue. By 1915, customers could choose from over 60 luxury items on offer. This idea soon spread with an increasing number of retailers offering rewards for loyalty to shoppers in the form of tokens, stamps, or points which could be collected. Frequent flyers were rewarded for traveling with the same airline. Drivers could receive loyalty points to get discounts on fuel, and shoppers could collect stamps to be redeemed for an ever-increasing range of goods and services. New businesses emerged, acting as the brokers, supplying the stamps or tokens and operating the schemes on behalf of major clients. Now, the idea underpinning this long-standing business was essentially about getting close to and keeping customers. A byproduct was the information that some of these schemes could reveal about customer identity and behavior. Something which the team at Tesco saw as a possibility when it was planning the launch of its Clubcard, as a points-based loyalty program in the early 1990s. Early trials of their idea suggested that in addition to the usual benefits of keeping customers loyal to the brand, the Clubcard might also give them access to useful customer insights which could help future planning. Grant Harrison's early work suggested it might be possible to mine the data about transactions made using the card, but talking with major IT service companies suggested the costs and timescale for something to do this would be quite significant. Faced with estimates suggesting a development time of maybe 3 years and a cost running into tens of millions of pounds, he thought it worth exploring what some outsiders, like dunnhumby, might be able to offer. Well, their initial offer proposed a 10-week development project with a cost of around £250,000. Not surprisingly, he decided to take the risk of seeing what they could come up with. dunnhumby developed a version of the Clubcard, which was trialled in 9 stores over a 3-month period. And they presented their results at the end of that time and caught the attention of increasingly senior management in Tesco. Eventually, they were invited to present to the Tesco board. Their report was met by a long and awkward silence. It was finally broken by Lord Maclaurin, the chairman, who memorably captured the huge implications of what the couple had presented. "What scares me about this is that you know more about my customers after 3 months than I know after 30 years. What began as a short-term consulting project was transformative for both sides. dunnhumby's work showed in detail patterns in what customers were buying, who they were, broken down by various categories, and identifying where further data mining might be useful. Clubcard became the world's first mass customization loyalty program, offering a much finer degree of insight into particular groups of customers than anything that had previously been available. That project became a long-term partnership from which both sides learned and were able to grow. Tesco's success helped it overtake Sainsbury's to become the top supermarket in the UK within a year of the launch of Clubcard. They not only benefited from their own use of the data analytics approach, in partnership with dunnhumby, they signed similar deals with other supermarkets round the world. So successful was the Clubcard for Tesco that dunnhumby was soon approached to do the same for Kroger, the US chain competing with the giant Walmart. In 2002, Tesco bought a 53% stake in the business, and in 2010 bought the remainder. By that time, the business was making profits of £46 million on a £250 million turnover. It employed 1,300 people across 30 offices worldwide and had other clients including Cadbury, Vodafone, Shell, and Unilever. What had started as a kitchen table office and a real risk of bankruptcy for the two entrepreneurs had paid off to the tune of an estimated £93 million. Now, at the heart of their original business was a simple belief that buyer behavior wasn't random, but something that could be analyzed and the resulting understanding used to develop far more effective strategies for reaching and satisfying customer needs. With millions of customers, the task of data mining was difficult, but the rewards in terms of deep, tailored insights about segments and even individual purchasers would outweigh the costs in developing the necessary analytical technology. Now, in a world increasingly driven by mass customization, the potential for getting close to the individual customer and communicating with them, responding to their needs, anticipating their preferences, and engaging their long-term loyalty offered a real strategic advantage to whoever could realize it. Of course, these days we take the power of such analytics for granted. the spectacular rise of many of the big players on the global business scene, Google, Meta, Amazon, Alibaba, that owes a huge amount to such customer data science. Its tentacles reach beyond commercial transactions to that densely populated world of social media and down into murky waters of electoral influencing and opinion manipulation. And of course, with the rise of machine learning, the potential for deeply customized interactions individualized from a population of billions becomes a very real possibility. Now, dunnhumby offers an entrepreneurial success story, demonstrating how a vision, in this case seeing the potential value in something that others discounted or threw away, how that could become a reality. Dunn and Humby can claim to being pioneers in the world of data science and to have worked some alchemical magic, turning waste into gold. But it's not a story of getting lucky. Instead, it reminds us of some key lessons about successful innovation management. First, it involves much more than a big idea. It's about recognizing and shaping opportunity from the context around that idea. That's about both vision, seeing what's possible, and also what Angela Duckworth calls grit. Being able to put in the hard work to bring that idea to life and coping with the setbacks and unexpected challenges which the journey will throw up. Perseverance and resilience are qualities which the couple clearly had in spades, not least when they were sitting round that kitchen table with no income, no clients, and the threat of a lawsuit putting their self-belief very much to the test. But their success wasn't built on a magic single idea which turned out to be just what Tesco needed, right idea, right place, right time. No. It was much more along the lines of Louis Pasteur's famous dictum, chance favors the prepared mind. In their case, they were able to respond quickly and effectively to the Tesco challenge because of the deep knowledge that they'd already acquired, developing and honing the tools of their trade. Nor was it something which happened overnight. It's a story of scaling a great idea through careful strategic development. But at the core is a commitment to the knowledge base, that core competence which enabled them to enter and pioneer this field of customer data science, CDS. They hired smart people, built close relationships with universities who helped them identify the talent needed to contribute to their growing workload. When they started with Tesco, they employed 30 staff. This number doubled every year over the next 5. They created an academic partnerships program, developed research links with world-leading institutions, the kind of thing which has helped them stay abreast of the science shaping the future of their industry. Scaling innovation is a multiplayer game, and in many interviews the couple have repeatedly drawn attention to their commitment to developing partnerships as a way of growing. Their early and close relationship with Tesco was a deep and a long-term one. An indicator of that was the level of trust which developed between them, to the point where dunnhumby had access to all of Tesco's cost information. They were able to see the profit margin of every product sold in the stores, and with that kind of data, it became possible to develop some of the elements of the Clubcard approach which gave it such a competitive edge, but it depended on deep trust. They developed similar close links with other players like Kroger as they grew their business. Building a value network in this fashion enabled them to leverage resources, open up market access, and develop enhanced solutions and services. As Edwina Dunn explained in an interview looking back on how they successfully scaled their idea, she said, "My best decision was to do joint ventures with companies. Where they win, we win, and they make sure you never lose." Now there's a famous old Yorkshire expression from the north of England, "Where there's muck, there's brass, which roughly translated suggests that sometimes there's real value in what might otherwise be seen as worthless. The challenge, whether we're talking about recovering precious metals from discarded scrap, reusing waste heat in sustainable energy schemes, or seeing and exploiting the value in discarded data, is the same. How could we turn what might be alchemy to robust and widely used science? A case rather well made by Edwina Dunn and Clive Humby 30 years ago, and as relevant now as ever.